In today's podcast, we have Brent Bowers.
Real estate will eventually turn into, appreciation. It'll be worth big money one day. I was probably spending $96,500 a year, but making $100,000. I am letting people pay me on an asset for many years, 30-year mortgage at 12% interest. So I'm kind of like the bank. My real business I make the most money in is land. Listen, you can have the land for $285. And I was like, what, $285? Like, this is crazy. I'm used to buying houses for $285,000, but I was scared because I had no clue what this land was worth. And I ended up quitting and going into the military. I did about 8.5 years in the military and got out because I was always gone. But the way I was able to get out was because of real estate.
Was there a problem with money in your household that actually drives you to start this?
I mean, there was no money. So if you don't have money, there's no money problems, right?
Hey guys, welcome back to Property Investment Blueprint Podcast. In today's podcast, we have Brent Bowers. Brent is the owner of Landshark, is an investor and a coach with a focus of buying and selling vacant land. As an army officer with over 8 years of service, Brent Bowers was spending a great deal of time away from his family, and he knew he needed to make some changes to be more present with his family and children. His interest in real estate began in 2007 when he purchased his first home. Whilst Brent invests in many different types of real estate, his favorite investment strategy deal is buying and selling vacant land. He enjoys sharing his expertise in this area with his coaching clients, and he's passionate about helping other people find success in the real estate world, investing particularly in land investment. Hello, Brent. How are you? Welcome to Property Investment.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing well. I've been reading, looking at your videos on your Instagram, looking at your journey. It sounds exciting. It sounds really, really well, especially that 77,000 deal. So I see all the due diligence you've made there. So that was amazing. So thank you for being part of this family.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Good. So, just for the people that don't know you, what is your contact from your earliest years? I need to know to understand Brent Bowers.
I would say like what drives me, what made me start all this and start doing land investing. Is that what you're asking?
I just want to know, before you become a military person or a property investor, what's your background like? Tell us, paint a picture of how you were as a childhood all the way to where you are.
Well, I'm looking at my bookshelf. I've always had the love for business. I was reading like The Art of the Deal and Donald Trump books as a kid. So I always liked real estate and business and entrepreneurship. I always had a lawn service and growing up as a kid. I used to borrow the neighbor's lawnmower and go mow grass, and I turned that into a pretty decent business. I was grossing over $100K a year in 2004 when I graduated high school. My dad came out to work with me, and then we hired some people. Then I went into real estate full time, and that was in 2008, which was the worst time ever for real estate for me, in my mind anyways. And I ended up quitting and going into the military. I did about 8.5 years in the military and got out because I was always gone. But the way I was able to get out was because of real estate, because of land investing. So that's kind of full circle. I got back into land, back into real estate for my time freedom. I wasn't trying to be a multi-millionaire or some wealthy person. I just wanted time freedom.
Wow, beautiful. I love that. As a child, starting to learn other people's garden, what was that trigger? What was the epiphany moment for you to think, as a child, I can borrow next door neighbor's mowers so I can make money out of it? So what was that trigger that literally allows you to do that?
Yeah, I guess just being resourceful. I think being resourceful is more powerful than having resources. Because I surely didn't have a lot of resources, but I found out that there was people that wanted to see me succeed.
Hmm.
And I'm that exact person today. I want to see people succeed. You know, if
Hmm.
I have a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, a brother or a sister is just telling me something, I always have a million ideas on how they can succeed from it. So I think that most people act like that. So it's just and I wouldn't say that it dawned on me in the early days, but I knew that if I was resourceful,
Hmm.
that I can make things happen.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that. It's all about resourcefulness, So I learned that from Tony Robbins as well. So it's all about
Yeah,
being resourceful. So
so good.
so we're talking about childhood then. Was there a problem with money in your household that actually drives you to start this lawnmower business, or is just something that comes out of you naturally? Oh, sorry for interrupting this video. I just wanted to draw your attention to a guide I've just created. This guide is for you if you're looking to start and scale in property investment and you've got questions that you want to ask in order to start your property investment. This guide is the ultimate guide to start and scale in property investment journey. I talk about the different type of investment strategies. I also discuss the 11 ways you can raise finance to make any property no money down deals and the type of properties to buy in order to generate a serious return in your investment. And I'm giving this book away for completely free of charge, no string attached, nothing, absolutely free. Click the link on the description of this video to get your free guide now. We've only got a limited number of these copies available as well, so click the link to get your guide now. Let's get back to our video.
Yeah, there was no money problems at all. I mean, there was no money. There was no, so if you don't have money, there's no money problems, right?
Okay. Yeah.
My parents did really well. I thought so at the time. We
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a 900 square foot house, 3 bedroom, 1 bath house. I had a sister. I didn't realize how small our house was.
Mm-hmm.
We always had clothes on our back and feet, I'm sorry, shoes on our feet. So I think we were pretty blessed growing up, but I think my parents worked really hard. So
Mm-hmm.
I just I wanted to do things bigger and more, and I wanted to be somebody. So that's just why I set out to be successful in what I did in real estate and business. So, but yeah, looking back now, I feel like my parents might have struggled a little bit, but we didn't know it at the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. I like that. How about school? How was school like for you?
Yeah, it was just a necessary evil. I had to just go and check the block. I never failed a grade, but I also pretty much made C's and B's. I was really good at the who, not how. Doctor, what is it? Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote a book called Who, Not How. So I was really good at finding out who could help me with the math, who could help me with the science. So school was okay. I got through it. I do have a bachelor's degree. Crazy thing. I was telling my 8-year-old son that it took me honestly over 12 years to finally get a bachelor's degree, which was took me a little longer than most.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Wow. 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 So I know you were looking for the who at at school, so to speak. Is that because maybe we're not as clever as the other kids, or have you ever been bullied back in school?
I got bullied a little bit. I was a small guy. I was always
Mhm.
tall and lengthy, but super skinny. But yeah, I mean, I think I got bullied a little bit. But that didn't stop me too much. I could take a beating and keep going though.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Fantastic. So you were doing your lawnmower business and things were going well. You're making about 100K a year. What inspires you to jump into property investing
I
and how
wasn't
did you?
Let me just clear that up. I wasn't making that. I wasn't keeping that much money. I
Of
was
course,
grossing that much money. So
I
I was
understand.
probably spending 96,500 a year, but making 100,000.
I got that. I got that. So obviously that would have been your gross income, isn't it? So in essence, you were making a gross income of £100,000. Obviously take not thousand. Sorry, you were making $100,000. I'm used to pounds, and then obviously you've got all your expenses on top of that as well. So, and then with your little profit on top of it. But what makes you transition from doing that sort of business to become a real estate investor? And how did your personal background influence your approach to investing in property?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that real estate you can make money while you sleep. That if you do it right, and you do it long enough, that that real estate will eventually turn into massively, appreciation. It'll be worth big money one day. And right now, all this massive inflation we're seeing, that's really good for a guy like me that owns a lot of real estate.
Hmm,
You
hmm.
know, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like everyone's worried about inflation, and has my grocery bill tripled in the last 3 years? You're
Hmm,
dang right it has. It sucks.
hmm.
However, it's made me wealthy too at the same time because
Of
I own
course.
real estate. I keep real estate.
Hmm,
But how that transition is, my lawn man just left today. He spent about an hour and a half on my lawn
hmm.
mowing it. And if he doesn't go out and work today or tomorrow or the next day, he doesn't make money. But me, I don't have to leave the house to make money with when I own real estate.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love that. Kind of the same reason why I went to real estate myself. For me, is those two things. The rental income, which is the passive income you receive every single month, and as well as the capital appreciation. Imagine having a property, you only sat on it, and then you get appreciation of 10 to 15%, because that's what we know, that's what we are seeing in the UK. So I can understand why, because um for me also, I was looking at different type of businesses. I looked at forex, I looked at cryptos, I looked at so many avenues, but really property is the thing that really draws my attention to because of those two things. So apart from those things, then do you have any burning why you went to real estate?
A burning why?
Yes. Why you really
I
wanted to
just
get it
knew
done?
that most people had made their wealth through real estate. And I knew I wasn't smart enough to be a doctor or a lawyer, anything like that, or an inventor. But I knew that I could follow a program, and I'd seen enough regular people that own real estate do
Mhm,
okay on it. I figured if I did enough of it and I worked harder than everyone else, and I took classes and I hired coaches, that I would eventually make it. And honestly, I started in 2004. I started practicing real estate in 2004. So I just knew that, what other business out there is that tangible? You can touch it, you can farm it, you can build on it, you can rent a house out, you can flip a house and renovate a house and make more profit. But what other business out there will people lend you money on, then insure that property for you?
mhm,
Then it appreciates eventually, with
mhm,
inflation. And then it also, you can depreciate it to save money on taxes or things called cost segregation. And other
mhm,
people pay, your mortgage down. So you got mortgage payoff. So there's
mhm,
so many things like with leverage, there's so many ways over a 30-year period, a working lifetime. Let's just say that you make minimum wage your entire life, but you invest in real estate throughout that entire time you're working, borrowing money to buy these properties or land or buildings, and then letting other people pay for them. And then you have those properties insured, and then you have a tax shelter at the same time. It's almost like a guaranteed success
mhm,
for winning,
mhm,
other than the
mhm,
fact of like, okay, I'm going to take my W-2 profits and invest in the stock market. Well, I can't borrow money against it. I guess you could. There's ways. I don't know much about stocks, but you could borrow money, I guess. People get in trouble with that, but there's
mhm,
nothing
mhm,
tangible. I can't insure it. If I lose it, that's like it's going away in thin air, or even crypto, even more scary. But
mhm,
at least with real estate,
mhm.
land, no one can steal it. No one
No.
can steal it. And if they do, they dig a big hole and take your dirt, there's more dirt below that, and then maybe eventually you have a lake and you can ski on it. I don't know.
Yeah. I got that. I get the idea. This is what I tell my investors and said to them, one of the reasons why I love real estate is that I can walk past it, I can drive past it, I can kiss it, I can hug it, I can go inside it, I can do whatever I want with it. But when it comes to stock and shares, right, I can only go on with what my director or the executive manager told me. And they can wake up one morning, dilute my shares, or they work up some money, investigate the company, and they just impact you for something that you've never actually aware about. But when it comes to real estate, it's there for you, and it's one of the things that you could make money without selling it as well. Like you don't have to sell it to make money out of it. You can rent it,
So
get
true.
someone to pay your debt down for you as well. So it is as you just said, it's a guaranteed success basically.
I have a lake house. It's super
Yeah.
cool. Someone's paying me $3,700 a month for the next like 5 months to rent it from me,
Mhm.
and my mortgage is 1,600 a month.
Look at that.
I'm just like, and I get to enjoy this lake house all the time.
Hmm.
Um, but my real business I make the most money in is land.
Hmm.
I buy land at massive discounts. I buy land at discounts.
Hmm.
99 out of 100 people are not going to sell me their land at a discount
Hmm.
of people that want to sell it. But
Hmm.
there's those few people that it's like, yeah, I don't want it. I inherited it. I no longer want to pay these taxes.
Hmm.
It's yours. Take it. And then
Hmm.
I turn around and sell it to someone what it's worth, and then I become the bank. I let them make payments to me on it for the next 30 years. Now I have a
Hmm.
passive income stream coming in.
Hmm.
Now I need to make that decision. Am I going to live off this money,
Hmm.
basically eat my babies,
Hmm.
or let these little babies, aka the US dollar, the money that I make from it, make
Hmm.
more babies? So I
Hmm.
take that money from the land income, the passive income from land, and then I put it into more real estate that is
Wow.
also passive income
Hmm.
generating. My preferred method is taking that land money and putting it into light industrial buildings where I rent out on triple net leases.
Hmm. So just to get you right, then you buy the land instead of flipping it, you keep it and lease it to someone else, and then they pay you rent on a monthly basis. Or do you flip it and then still get this passive recurring income coming in? How
Yeah,
does
I
that
do
work?
sell it. I sell it to them on seller financing to where they actually own it or are buying it from me via contract for deed,
Hmm.
depending on how much they put down. Sometimes it'll be a mortgage,
Hmm.
and that's a whole nother conversation. But yes, most of the time I try and sell my land on seller financing. Sometimes people do pay cash for it, and I don't seller finance them, which is
Hmm.
fine. But when I create that mortgage, now I'm becoming the bank. I'm doing exactly what banks do. There's a reason why they're
Hmm.
the biggest, prettiest buildings in every city and every state is
Hmm.
because they lend money.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm not really lending money. I am letting people pay me on an asset for many years, 30-year mortgage at 12% interest. So I'm kind of like the bank, but I don't have to
Hmm.
deal with a lot of the regulatory stuff because it's vacant raw land. No one's
Hmm.
sleeping there at night.
Yeah, I love that. So suppose if I approached you now, I said, look, Brent, I'm interested in purchasing a land from you. I haven't got money to go and buy expensive land, but I'm interested in buying your land. So what sort of requirement would I need in order to purchase that land?
Yeah, most of the time I try and do as big of a down payment as possible. And
Mm-hmm.
then I try and figure out what's a comfortable monthly payment that you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, like I have different parcels of land. Some are more expensive, some are less expensive. But and then we create a contract, or I sell it to you, and we create a mortgage, and you pay me for a certain period of time until that balance is paid off in full. And
Mm-hmm.
once it is, I either transfer you the land or give you a satisfaction of mortgage.
Fantastic, fantastic. Can you then share a defining moment or experience that made you realize the need to start buying and selling land instead of continuing buying houses?
Yeah. Yeah, I got the housing market got so competitive, and I was spending so much money on marketing. And I heard a guy on a podcast just like this talking about how he was making doubling and tripling his money overnight. And I was like, there's no way that's true. It sounds too good to be true. So
Mm-hmm.
I immediately started mailing landowners that were behind on their taxes, and I got a deal pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, within several weeks, that the guy's like, listen, you can have the land for $285. And I was like, what? $285? Like, this is crazy. I'm used to buying houses for $285,000, but I was
Exactly.
scared because I had no clue what this land was worth. So I went and drove to the land. I checked it out. This was in 2016. And then I
Yeah.
called the real estate office that was really close to the land. I was like, hey, what's this worth? What's the blowout price? What could you list it for? If you were to sell it on the multiple listing service. And lo and behold, that lady ended up making me an offer for $5,000. That's that real estate agent. I only made one call. She said probably list it for 10,000, but she would pay me 5,000 the next week for it. So I took her up on the offer, and so I just turned $285 into $5,000 overnight, pretty much. And I was like, okay,
What?
I guess that's better than tripling my money. I literally just like I don't even know what the number is on that because I hadn't even paid for that land yet.
Mm.
Um, so long story short, that was the defining moment. I was like, there's no way I can keep doing this. And sure enough, a week later, I bought a piece of land for $500. Now, let me just give you a disclaimer. My land deals are way more expensive now
Of course.
because like you just got to move up. And how did I do that? A rising tide lifts all boats, raises all ships. When I started the Land Sharks community, I started seeing what people were doing. They were making way more money than I was in land. And here I am, the guy teaching them how to do it. So I have a competitive nature, and my pride got in the way. And I was like, well, I need to start doing bigger land deals. So I did. I just started following what my Land Sharks community was doing. But going back to that next week where I got another land deal for $500 this time, this one wasn't as good, I didn't think. I didn't think it was very good, but I was like, I don't have any clue what it's actually worth. Turns out it's worth a lot more than what I tried to sell it for. But I put it on Craigslist for $5,000 total because I was like, maybe I can make $5,000 again. This time I asked for $500 down as a down payment. So I got my money back out of the deal. My security is out of it. And then I asked for $400 a month, a total of $5,000. And I'm doing these loans at 0% interest back then, by the way.
Yeah.
Now I charge 12 and 14%, but I don't always get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, holy cow. I had a buyer the next day. He brought me $500 to my house, and I'm collecting $400 a month. Now my truck payment's being taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. That is very inspiring. And it's got me to think actually, right? That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Right. Where do you get returns like that? I have not seen any other sort of investment where you can where you can get a return like that. £500 for £1,000, and you get your £500, you get them to lease it and pay you literally £400 every single month. Literally, you're getting nearly £500, the amount you've bought the property for the next 15, 20 years. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
That guy actually paid me off early,
Oh,
by
okay.
the way. Crazy. 0% interest, and he paid me off early. I actually tried to buy that land back from him because come to find out it was worth like probably now to this day, it's 5 acres next to Fort Carson, Colorado Springs. It's worth like $500,000.
Wow.
But he wouldn't return my call.
Of course, of course.
Um,
Okay. I can understand. I can understand. So you see, when it comes to real estate, what are some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how have you overcome them while staying true to your mission?
Well, let me tell you. So remember how I'm telling you I'm doing $285 deals and $500 deals, and then it became
Mm-hmm.
$5,000 deals, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually 25,000. And then I did a $75,000 deal that I
Mm-hmm.
actually made a little over 150K on that one deal, but just seller financing it.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest problem was I didn't have the money to do more expensive deals. So I had to grow slowly because most banks won't lend on land, nor
Yeah.
do I want to deal with a bank. So my problem was it's like I'm getting these deals where I could buy this land for like 150 or 250,000 or sometimes $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
and the land's worth like twice what I pay for it. So if the
Mm-hmm.
land's worth 2 million and I can get it for 1 million, the problem is I don't have $1 million, or I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. So how did I overcome that problem? Was I started getting on podcasts just like this, and
Mm-hmm.
YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and I teach and I teach and I teach and I just give and I go over 1,000 videos,
Wow.
and you can't find any negative things about me on the internet, God willing,
Mm.
hopefully. because like I do what I say I'm going to do. And if someone joins my community and they don't like what they see, which has happened a couple times over since 2018, because they don't want to do the work or whatever, who cares the reason? Maybe it's just me and the way I look. They ask for a refund, they get it. Like there's a reason
Yeah.
why you can't see negative reviews about me online.
Yeah.
But how I overcame that was I just give and I give and I give and I teach people what I do. And most people will not go out and start a land business like I did.
Yeah.
But maybe they want to lend money with me and buy land deals with me and have security in that land deal and get a lender's title insurance policy. Because if we're buying this land at 50 cents on the dollar, their money's safe. It's not like it's going into the stock market or cryptocurrency. It's tangible. They can farm it. Like worst case scenario, if the market crashes like 2008, the value is not going to go down by 50%. It might go down 10 or 15% overnight, which is terrible. But if we're buying it at 50 and 60 cents on the dollar, let's just do easy math. If it's worth 100,000 and we're buying it for 55,000, that's 55 cents on the dollar. We should be able to at least sell it in a fire sale and get all of our money back. You know, it's like off the lender. So
Wow.
I pay people all the time, 8, 9, 10% interest on their money that's secured by real estate. And it allows me to do more deals, bigger deals, better deals, and share the money with other people. So that was my biggest problem when I started. And they always say, oh, if the deal's good enough, the money will come. Well, I hate that saying. But now I love that saying because like I know I give, provide value, and people want to do deals with me. So like, you know, I'm sure someone will come from this podcast. I work with doctors, and my neighbor's a plumber, my other neighbor's a dentist, and they lend money all the time on my land deals.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that, you know. So, truly, to be honest with you, money is not an issue. That's what I tell people. It's knowing. You know, when we start the podcast, you did mention who. I was looking for the who. It's all about looking for the who you can contact, tap into, who, not how. You got it, right? These are the way that you could actually expedite your investment journey. I love that. I love that idea. And it's a brilliant concept. What you're giving, it's all about giving, adding value. And if you're adding value more than anybody else is doing in your marketplace, of course you will dominate, which is exactly what you're doing right now. So keep on doing the hard work, keep on giving back, and it will surely pay off. As someone from a military background, what unique challenges and opportunities you have encountered in the property investment world, and how have you navigated them?
Yeah, taxes right now. I'll tell you about a challenge I'm having right now. I have a big tax bill, and you know, partly it's because I sold too much real estate. I didn't keep enough of it. So the problem is when you sell, and you don't keep, you get a big tax bill. If you don't set enough money aside,
Yeah.
what they talk about in Profit First is a
Yeah,
way
Profit First,
around
yeah.
it right there. But there's always an answer in a book somewhere, by the way.
Of course, yeah.
It's just knowing what books to read at the right time. And then for me, it was like that greed factor. Okay, I put $20,000 aside for taxes. I tithed on the money. Oh, but there's this deal I can buy right now. I can pay $47,000, and the land's worth about 79, so I'll make a quick profit on it. Let me just spend the $47,000. Well, the problem with that is that $79,000 land deal took a year to sell, and it only sold for like 69, so I still made profit, but a tax bill came in from the IRS for 87,000, and I spent the money. And I can't do a write-off on land because you can't depreciate land because it doesn't go down. It's supposedly, I'm doing air quotes right now, it does not go down in value. So that's been a challenge I've having to overcome. The best advice I can give for someone is, one, know what tax bracket you're in. Two, talk to your CPA every like month, preferably, and have a CPA that can keep up with your tax bills. Because when you're behind a year or 2 years at a time, as far as completing your tax returns, you don't want to be in reaction mode in business.
Yeah. I got that. So just for the people I am based in the UK that don't know what CPA is, you're talking about your tax accountant. Am I correct?
Yeah, CPA means certified public accountant, but yeah, tax accountant. When we file our tax return, it's pretty easy to know what you owe. So there should be quarterly planning to figure out
Mm,
ahead of time what you need to keep aside or how to get
mhm,
more deductions or how to
mhm.
leverage your deductions that the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, gives us in the
Okay.
tax code.
It makes sense. So just to look at it now, I know it might not be the right, the actual thing you've done. If you were to sell that land for 67,000, why would the ILRA charge you a profit on 87,000?
Yeah, if it's an $87,000 net profit, it depends what tax bracket you're in. It depends if it's ordinary income tax or
Hmm.
short-term capital gains or long-term capital gains. So the answer is I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know. But you could figure, about if you make 100K net profit, just figure you're going to pay about $40,000 in taxes if you're depending on what tax bracket you're in, if you're in a 40% tax bracket.
Right. Makes sense. So, what are the top three reasons why you love land?
Oh, I love land because there's no tenants, termites, or trash. Those are three reasons, right? No, just kidding.
Hmm.
Land I love because one, they're not making any more of it. Two, it's simple. There's no repairs needed. There's no contractors needed. There's no renovations. I own a bunch of buildings and we're always renovating everything.
Hmm.
Um, but land, I don't ever have to worry about the renovations. And it's just simple and no tenants. Like I got a buyer.
Hmm. Hmm. Makes sense. It makes sense. So, so are you still investing in real estate as well, i.e., getting the money from the land you sell and then buy multi-unit properties or
Absolutely.
okay, tell us a little bit about that side of the business.
Yeah, the good thing about that side of the business is I take one passive income channel and then it allows me to invest in another. Like I'm looking at a mobile home park right now. It's
Hmm.
still land, right?
Yeah.
However, I get to depreciate the mobile homes. I get to depreciate the water lines, the sewer lines, the any infrastructure in it. So when I
Hmm.
get to depreciate this via cost segregation, this is something that my CPA, you want a good CPA to do this for you. It
Hmm.
saves me money in taxes.
Hmm.
And then I get the benefit of receiving income from that other investment as well. So
Hmm.
my investments are making more investments. So it's just compounding on itself,
Of
or what you
course.
call the snowball effect that Dave
Hmm.
Ramsey talks about.
Hmm.
Um, it gives me tax breaks. I get to borrow money against these properties.
Hmm.
And then other people pay my mortgage down, the renters, the tenants do.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to think of, then there's appreciation.
Yeah.
Keep those properties forever. As they appreciate, they get higher in value. So I'm getting tax benefits, I'm getting mortgage pay down, I'm getting appreciation,
Hmm.
and I'm using leverage.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that. So, what advice would you give to aspiring property investors and entrepreneurs, especially those from the military background that are looking to get into real estate? So, what advice do you have to for people like that?
Yeah, I mean, my first thing is I say get into the game, and don't stop educating, just do, take action.
Hmm.
Whether you pick a channel, pick which avenue you want to go, land, houses, apartments, mobile home parks, whatever it is, and run with it and have
Hmm.
laser vision focus.
Hmm.
One thing for me that helped me was I bought my house and then I rented out the rooms. That
Hmm.
gave me the start right there. And then I started buying and selling vacant raw land. That gave me another start. I wish I would have started buying land sooner, but obviously I'm a little bit you know jaded towards land because I started with rentals.
Hmm.
And rentals properties was not the way to wealth. I could never quit my military job and live off my rental income before.
Hmm. Hmm. It makes sense. It makes sense. So, if I was to start my investment journey now, what are the foundations I need to put in place to ensure success towards my journey?
Yeah, I just say the first thing you do is time block every day for
Hmm.
income producing activities.
Hmm.
That's the foundation. Block the time every day, and no matter what, you spend it on it,
Hmm.
whatever that income producing activity is, and that's talking to sellers and talking to buyers.
Hmm.
That's the main thing. When I started in the land business, it was taking an hour a day to write letters to landowners that were
Hmm.
behind on taxes.
Hmm. Fantastic. Okay. So how about the real estate investments side of things?
Yeah, I would say the first thing is, start with your own house.
Hmm.
If you're married with children, this might be hard, but, start sooner than later. Buy your own house and house hack it. There's a great word called house hacking,
Hmm.
basically where you rent out the rooms and you sleep on the couch. You know,
Fantastic. Okay. What are your long-term goals for your investment businesses, and how do you plan to continue supporting the people that you're coaching, mentoring, and
yeah.
going forward?
Yeah, the long-term goals are, to just continue buying, letting the empire be built, pay a lot of these properties off to where they're debt free.
Hmm.
Because the way I look at it is, every property I look at 30 years, that I plan to keep, I look at 30 years, like what's it going to look like in 30 years. So think long term. My wife
Hmm.
always says is real estate's a very patient game. So,
Hmm.
and the more I do and the more I learn, the lessons I learn, the better I'll be at teaching people, which I enjoy. I enjoy seeing people get their first real estate deal, their first
Hmm.
land deal, preferably, because that's what I'm really good at teaching people.
Hmm.
But it excites me. But it's like we've helped a lot of people quit their jobs,
Hmm.
change their life. Like they're teaching their children to do this. So we're changing, legacies. Like I got my dad involved into land.
Wow.
So it's really incredible.
Beautiful. I love that. We're gonna do a quick fire round questions now. We're nearly there. I'm gonna ask you short questions with short answers as well. This is
Okay.
quickly just to get you a bit excited as well. So let's start. Worst advice you remember receiving?
Worst advice I ever received?
Yes.
So the worst advice I ever received was, um, oh gosh, there's so many things, but I'll just tell you one was, I had a boss at one time. He said, you shouldn't go to the gym or work out because if you work out or go to the gym, you didn't work hard enough in your day job.
Whoa. Okay. Best advice you remember receiving?
My dad, he said, don't work for other people, own your own companies, own your own business, run
Your
your own
big
business.
your biggest regret?
My biggest regret is every time I sold a property and didn't keep it.
Right. Is there something you believe that lots of people disagree with?
Hmm, I don't know. I'm not super controversial. That's a hard one. I had to think about that one.
No problem. So what is the best book you've ever read or listened to?
I would say The Wealthy Gardener.
Fantastic. Does money change you?
No, I think it makes you more of what you already are,
Does
better
money
or
make you
worse. Huh?
does money make you happy?
No, absolutely not.
Is there something you used to strongly believe and you recently changed your mind on?
No.
Is there something in the world you fundamentally think is wrong and you'd like to change?
Yeah, I do think that, it's just I see it, people should think about, later, the people after them and not like people are very, I think sometimes just self-centered. It's like we were in a national forest the other day and I saw garbage. And I was like, why would people make something so beautiful just dirty it up? I think that's little things like that. And I was picking the garbage up and I was like, if everyone would just pick up the garbage like I am, the world would be changed. But then on the other hand, if people wouldn't throw the garbage down, we wouldn't have to pick it up.
Mm. Wow. Wow. I see. I see where you're coming from. This podcast is called Property Investment Blueprint. What does property investment blueprint means to you?
It means that when you buy a property, you treat it as an investment and you have a blueprint to maximize the results from that one investment. Um, and then also how to do it.
Fantastic. I love that. Final one. If there was only one person you'd love me to interview, who would that be and why?
Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn. Oh, I love him. He's amazing. He's amazing. So look, Brent, what an amazing way to end today's podcast. It was a great special moment with you, learning about land, learning about real estate investment in the United States itself. If someone is interested in your service, how will they contact you? Where should we follow you? And where are you hanging out on social media?
Yeah, real simple. If you want to schedule a call and chat for a little while, I can help you with your real estate investing goals. Go to thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as Brent L. Bowers. Brent L. Bowers. Yes, the L stands for land.
Oh, fantastic, Brent. You've been amazing, Brent. I really, really appreciate having you. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for helping people transform their life and the empowerment that you're doing, helping people to invest in land. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you for sharing your journey with us. And I really appreciate having you on the podcast.
God bless, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.